So does anybody else find it just the tiniest bit odd that here we are in a post-Kingdom world and Walmart ends up dropping a Seeker mold, specifically the Sparkless Seeker? It is a little bit odd. I mean, I guess if there's people out there that like the Seekers, I don't know who would be such a person, but this would totally strike their fancy, apparently. So no lie, the Sparkless Seeker drone, which we will refer to as Joe from this point on, Joe kind of feels like the Acid Storm from 2008 that had like the acid burns and the... which is odd considering that this is actually Acid Storm right here, but Joe is kind of rocking a little bit of the motif that Hotlink has going on, because it does kind of feel like Joe is sort of a weird fusion of the two paint ideas rolled into one. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that. Let's see, baddie color scheme, check. Overbearing, bad guy looking design, check. Let's see here, rocking military color scheme that bad guys usually do. Check. Which, speaking of that, he does have just kind of this weird military vibe with them colors. However, you know what? I think there's only one other bot we could really compare him with before we move on to robot mode. Well, I think it's pretty obvious, guys, that the Sparkless car here is delivering better on what we saw in the show as far as the rusty and just beaten paint scheme, because it helps them to feel more unique despite them being two very different molds. Of course, our boy does not come alone. He comes with two partners, because apparently every exclusive Seeker has to have two Battle Masters, which in this case it has Sparkless Singe and Sparkless Caliburst. We're just going to go with what the instructions call them. So these guys actually look pretty good. I love the energy color effects. If you guys have seen our last video, these guys actually made a little bit of a cameo with Fangry. Check out the link or the card, it'll be there. And as far as these guys go individually, you can see that, I mean, I love how one of them looks really dirty and dingy, and then you've got one that's kind of like rocking a very crisp color scheme. So, sorry Singe, your buddy over here, Caliburst, he's totally killing you in that regard. So we can see here that Joe is actually wielding both of his target masters now. Now, one thing about him in particular is that because of his cockpit being like just really run-of-the-mill, it ties in with the other kind of browns and dinginess going on. Even if he's supposed to represent like a destroyed one, could he have not had like a different color cockpit? As you can see with these two, that's what helps kind of add a little bit of contrast and interest to their chest, is that cockpit canopy doing its thing. So here he is with the other Sparkless bot, and again, the contrast is still very much there. The one thing is, the car, he looks dead. Even his robot mode eyes, even though they are red, it's the gray face and just everything else in general. Whereas this guy, his head looks pretty much pristine in comparison with the rest of his body. So if you guys can see his mouth, he has got that far to the left grin, which has actually only been displayed on two other Seekers, that being Thundercracker and Redwing over here. Now, despite that being the case, this guy, like all of the other Tetrajets, as you can see, he would have what would be bronze light piping, yet when you look at it, yeah, he has red painted over the light piping. Are we doing a robot that's supposed to be toast or not? You have no idea what it took to get this shot. But I think it does show the ludicrousness of the fact that we are now on our 9th iteration of this mold, and the 10, which is the one I was talking about earlier, will be the Shattered Glass Starscream. Really, I'm not going to repeat this shot for Shattered Glass Starscream since he's a totally different animal on his own, so this will probably be the last time you see these Seekers lined up like this. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that look that we took at them, and until next time, guys, we'll see you in another review.